But the one thing I know about sports, you need rivalry. That's what makes people watch. They want to watch games of consequence between rivals. Absolutely lived up to expectations, exceeded them much more so as quickly as we thought coming off that historic draft.
Did you catch what Angel just said about Caitlin Clark? It's not what you'd expect from a heated rival. This WNBA drama just took an unexpected turn, and you're gonna want to hear all about it. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Angel Reese just dropped some serious praise on Caitlin Clark. Yeah, you heard that right. The same Angel Reese who's supposed to be Clark's biggest rival. It's like finding out your favorite superhero and supervillain are secretly best friends. This isn't just about two players anymore. It's shaking up the whole WNBA. You think you know everything about the Clark-Reese saga? Think again. There's a whole other side to this story that's gonna blow your mind.
Yeah, and you mentioned all the revenue drivers. We also signed a historic media deal since I was here last.
That's right.
Long-term media deal, which was important for the stability of the league.
We're about to show you a rivalry that's not just changing the game, but changing how we see women's basketball. Get ready, because this is the truth about Clark and Reese that nobody's talking about. Remember those intense matchups between Clark and Reese? Well, get this. Behind all that on-court drama, there's something brewing that nobody saw coming. It's time to peel back the curtain on what's really going down between these two stars. Picture this: the Indiana Fever's home court. The crowd's going wild, but not in a good way for Angel Reese. They're booing her every move, cheering against her like she's the villain in a basketball movie. That's how heated this Clark-Reese rivalry has gotten. It's like watching two titans clash, with fans picking sides and the tension so thick you could cut it with a knife.
These rookies have put on quite a season, and it's not just Caitlin and Angel. Rickea Jackson and other rookies are killing it this year. It is a little that Bird Magic moment, if you recall, from 1979 when those two rookies came in from a big college rivalry, one white, one black. And so we have that moment with these two.
But here's where things get wild. After one of these crazy intense games, Caitlin Clark drops a bombshell. She's not trash-talking Reese. Nope, she's praising her. Clark says, "I think what she's done with her platform has been absolutely incredible." Wait, what? That's not what you'd expect from a heated rival, right? And it doesn't stop there. At the WNBA All-Star Game, Angel Reese is all smiles talking about Clark. She's like, "It's so cool. She's been great to play with." Hold up, these two are supposed to be at each other's throats, but they're out here complimenting each other? This is next-level stuff. It's not just about who scores more points or wins more games. Clark and Reese are showing us what real sportsmanship looks like. They're fierce competitors on the court, sure, but off the court, there's a mutual respect that's changing the game. You know what's even crazier? This rivalry isn't just making them better players. It's putting women's basketball in the spotlight like never before. Clark nailed it when she said, "People just love seeing great matchups, but also, at the same time, the people tune in for these matchups. They're not just playing for themselves, they're playing for the future of women's sports." Think about it. Every time Clark and Reese face off, it's not just a game, it's an event. People who've never watched women's basketball before are tuning in. They're seeing the skill, the passion, the pure athleticism these women bring to the court.
Social media is different today than it was in 1979 when it didn't exist. But, I always tell the players, I was told a long time ago, if someone's typing something in and you wouldn't ask their advice, ignore it. Partners are stepping up to endorse these players, much more so than they were 5 years ago, because they see the benefit of having women and diverse women representing their brand.
And it's all because of this rivalry that's more than just a rivalry. You think this rivalry's just about what happens on the court? Think again. The spotlight's burning hot, and it's revealing some uncomfortable truths about how we see women's sports. Let's talk about the media circus around Clark and Reese. It's not just game highlights and stats anymore. The headlines are spinning this rivalry into something it's not. One minute, they're fierce enemies. The next, they're secret BFFs. It's like watching a reality show, but these are real people's lives we're messing with. Remember that playoff game between the Sky and the Fever? Things got crazy when Reese accidentally poked Clark in the eye. The internet exploded. Suddenly, everyone had an opinion. Was it intentional? Was Clark faking it? It's like people forgot these are pro athletes, not characters in a drama. And you know what's wild? While all this drama's going down, Reese is out there congratulating another player for winning Most Improved Player. But that's not the story people want to hear. They want the beef, the drama, the rivalry that sells tickets and gets clicks. Clark's handling it like a champ, though. She's all grace under pressure, even when she's getting tough questions about race and how her name's being used against her. But Reese? She's not having it. She's calling out the refs, saying Clark's getting special treatment. And can you blame her? She's dealing with death threats and hate from Clark's fans. That's not just unfair, it's scary. This whole thing's turned into a bigger conversation about race in sports. You've got Clark, who's white, and Reese, who's black, and suddenly it's not just about basketball anymore. It's about how we talk about athletes, how we treat them, and yeah, how race plays into all of that. Social media's making it worse. Every post, every tweet, it's all under a microscope. Clark's keeping it cool online, but Reese is letting people know she's fed up. And you know what? Good for her. These are real people dealing with real pressure. Amid all the noise, something incredible is happening. Clark and Reese aren't just rivals, they're becoming the faces of a new era in women's basketball. And the WNBA? They're loving every second of it. And you know why? Because this rivalry isn't just about two players anymore. It's reshaping the entire league. WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert is all over this. She's seeing dollar signs, and not just from ticket sales. Corporate partners are lining up to get a piece of the action. Engelbert's not mincing words. She's saying straight up that these rivalries are gold for marketing. Remember when women athletes struggled to get endorsements? Those days are fading fast. Now, companies are falling over themselves to sign these players. It's like night and day compared to just 5 years ago. But here's where it gets real. This isn't just about money. Clark and Reese are changing how people see women's basketball. They're not just athletes. They're superstars. Every time they face off, it's like a mini Super Bowl for the WNBA. People who've never watched a women's game before are tuning in. And guess what? They're sticking around. Clark gets it. She's saying, people just love seeing great matchups. But it's more than that. These new fans are discovering a whole world of incredible players and teams. They came for Clark versus Reese, but they're staying for the pure skill and excitement of the game. Think about it. When's the last time women's basketball got this much attention? You'd have to go back to the days of Bird and Johnson. That rivalry changed the game. Now, Clark and Reese are doing it all over again, but bigger. And it's not just about what happens on the court. These two are using their spotlight to talk about the real stuff. Gender equality in sports? They're on it. Fair media coverage? They're calling it out. They're not just playing basketball, they're changing the conversation. Here's the crazy part. They're doing all this while still respecting each other. 1 minute, they're going head-to-head in a fierce battle. The next, they're praising each other's game. It's like they've figured out you can be competitive and supportive at the same time. Who knew? This is next-level stuff. Clark and Reese are showing everyone what women's sports can be. They're proving that rivalries don't have to be bitter. They can push you to be better, to elevate your game, and to lift up your whole sport. So, what's the real deal with Clark and Reese? It's way more than just a rivalry. These two are changing the game, showing us what women's basketball can be. Yeah, they're fierce on the court, but off it, there's respect, real respect. Think about it. Every time they face off, it's not just a game, it's an event. People who've never watched women's basketball before are tuning in, and they're seeing something amazing. The skill, the passion, the pure talent these women bring to the court. Clark and Reese aren't just playing for themselves, they're playing for the future of women's sports. They're proving that you can be competitive and still lift each other up. It's not about tearing each other down. It's about pushing each other to be better. And in the process, they're elevating the entire sport. That's the power of a real rivalry.